Superheroes keep their identity secret, but why? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, if you haven't been following the Flash storyline since the beginning of DC Rebirth, here's a Flash rundown. The Flash found the original Wally West within the Speed Force and pulled him back into this reality where he discovered that time had been altered. Then Wally West from the New 52 discovered that he had powers and he began to train under the Flash. Except, he hasn't told him his secret identity for fear of what that knowledge could lead to. Which brings us to today, where we will tell you the story of a man made of darkness. Haunted by his own history, the man learned that one of the real horrors of life is that your life could be affected by the maliciousness of others. At his worst, he turned to misdeeds and mischief. But one day, he was blessed with friends and love. He found hope, and he gave up his wicked ways. And thus, the wicked man lived happily ever after. But that was a long time ago. We are now in Central City, where Barry Allen and Iris West are running through the park getting in shape. Iris brings up the fact that Wally has been ditching school and would like Barry to speak to him for her. Barry pretends to be winded and asks if this is why she invited him to jog with her. And then he notices somebody playing with paper nearby and feels like something is off. That's when Papercut gets up telling everyone to empty their wallets. Before Barry can run in, Iris gets in the way telling him to be careful, and Barry realizes that he can't change into the Flash with her there. He begins to wonder what he's going to do. Does he risk his identity and just save the day? But that's the moment that another speedster arrives on the scene. Kid Flash, aka Wally West. He runs in hitting Papercut and knocking him down. And then Iris demands to know why Kid Flash isn't in school. You see, no one knows Barry's identity, but Iris does know her nephew is Kid Flash. Before Wally can come up with a good excuse, Papercut gets up telling him that he doesn't just control paper, it's just the easiest. And then he begins to move trees around Wally. As the trees pick up Iris and Wally, Iris calls out for Barry to help them, but she can't seem to find him in the mess. That's probably because he changed into the Flash. He shows back up and makes quick work of Papercut saving everyone. He then turns to Wally. You wait here. I'm taking Papercut to Iron Heights. Flash catches up with Wally and demands to know why he lied to him. Flash and Wally had an arrangement. He would go to school and the Flash would teach him afterwards. He was never to go off on his own. Flash tells him that he knows that he's breaking their deal. He knows that he's been running with the Teen Titans and he shouldn't be. You're not the first partner to try and hide things from me. I thought I could trust you, Wally. And until I can, I don't think I can train you to be Kid Flash. But that ticks off Wally. You talk about trust? I don't even know your name. Why does that other red-haired Flash know your name but I don't? He then storms off, leaving Flash to wonder about that one. Barry goes back to his lab where he goes over the situation and how many people he's lost. Time with his father while he was in prison. That other Wally West who's now going by the name The Flash. August, who turned out to be Godspeed. And then there's Mina. Barry has been following the sightings of a speedster taken from the rich and giving to the poor. And he's certain that it's Mina. But why hasn't she reached out to him? If you're curious as to who this other speedster is, check out the first video for Flash Rebirth. Godspeed. Meanwhile, Wally heads back home where he gets himself grounded for skipping school and he heads to his room. He then decides, you know what? I'll just go catch a rogue. If I do that, the Flash will have to trust me. So after hearing reports about an evil shadow, Wally decides, how hard can a shadow be? He runs out and finds an odd man in a top hat, and he offers to help him. When he turns around, Wally sees his twisted grin on his face, and he informs Wally, hope was taken, and without hope, life is meaningless. Then shadow creatures begin to leap out from behind the man and they begin to drag Wally down. And before he knows it, he's lost in the shadows. The next day, Barry went to speak with Wally, as Barry and not the Flash. But of course, he finds him gone. Iris assumes that she was too hard on Wally and he ran off. So she goes outside to call for the Flash, and just like that, he appears. Kinda convenient because technically he was right behind her as Barry Allen in his secret identity. As the two of them try to figure out what's going on, Flash's shadow comes to life and Shade pops up telling him, hope is lost. I need your help. He needs your help. Kid Flash in the shadows. Hearing that, Iris runs into the shadows and leaves Flash behind. Without a second thought, Flash runs for it. Really, Iris? I'm supposed to be the one running into danger. The Flash quickly realizes that he isn't near Iris and he isn't in Central City anymore. He's in Shade's shadow world. The shadow monsters begin to attack him and he tries to outrun them, but that's when Wally shows up telling him that you can't outrace them, but they hate our lightning. And with that, a massive burst of lightning shoots out of Wally and he collapses. The Flash runs over to catch him, asking if he's okay. And Wally explains that he's just exhausted. He's been here for days. And the Flash tells him it's only been a few hours. As they try to figure out what's going on, they hear Shade, the real Shade, not the twisted and demented one, talking to them. He explains that he left this life behind. He had a woman that he loved, and he was spending his life with her. But his own fears of this power overtaking him gave life to the shadows once again. He began to lose control of them as his subconscious began to guide them to do things that would supposedly help him. But it led him to losing hope, losing the woman that he loved. These creatures took her away from him and brought her to the shadow worlds. He, of course, had to chase them, but he was overwhelmed and he needed the Flash, so he was reaching out to him. The Flash then asks him, "So you aren't controlling them?" Yes and no. It's my feelings of fear and doubt that are controlling them and twisting this world into an evil place. So Flash agrees to help Shade if Shade gets Kid Flash out of this mess. Even though Kid Flash argues that he wants to save Iris, Shade ends up informing both of them that it doesn't matter. No one can leave until we have regained control of the shadows, and the shadows are preoccupied with something that they are building, the Tower of Darkness. They are hoping to build it to free themselves from this world forever. Flash brings up that if they find Hope, he can bring her back to Shade and they can end this. And Wally then asks, "What about Iris?" So Shade informs them, "You misunderstand. I already found Hope and Iris. They've been infected by the shadows and they are now the queens of them. It's time for Flash versus Iris West." While Flash and Wally run around with Shade fighting the shadows, Hope and Iris stand in their castle. Hope says that she used to be a cop and never understood why people would go to a life of crime, but now she understands how fun it is. And Iris explains that her nephew and Flash have always been the ones with power. They worry and fret over her as if she's some weak damsel in distress. Well, now she has the power. And as they become more certain of themselves, their powers grow, and the battle outside is being lost as they control the shadows. No matter how fast they run and generate light, the darkness creeps back in at the same speed until it finally swallows up both of our speedsters. Flash tells Wally to remember what he taught him about vibrating through objects, becoming intangible, and Wally says he can't remember, and he won't try. So Flash asks him, "Why won't you at least try to vibrate?" And Wally snaps back at him, "Because Mina was supposed to train me and she's gone." Flash brings Wally close to him and he freezes time, per se. He explains that he locked their speed force together, seemingly freezing time, but they are basically moving at a high speed together, so it only appears like they've frozen time. It allows them to talk for a second. "I know you're upset that Mina is gone, I am too, but I need you to trust me, Kid Flash. Why can't you tell me who you are? You don't trust me. It isn't about trust. Knowing my secret identity, it's a burden. Secrets can weigh a person down. I'm protecting you. I didn't get a chance to be a kid. No friends, clubs, or band practice. I was alone, and I don't want that for you. You deserve a real childhood, and that means that some things need to be kept secret. Now trust me. I can't hold this for much longer." Wally looks at him. "Can you at least give me a clue to your name? Because you look like a Chad. I was named after my grandfather. Now our frozen moment is wearing off. You need to go intangible with me or they'll tear us to shreds. Can you vibrate with me?" Is this really a teachable moment, Flash? Every day is, Kid Flash. Conquering his fears, Wally vibrates as much as he can, and it works, and he blows the shadows back. Finally free of the shadows attacking them, they both rocket off towards the Tower of Darkness. In the tower, Hope has Shade captive, and in doing so, loses her grip on Iris just a little, so that Iris begins to question what she's doing. Hope turns back to Iris. "Isn't letting go of your worries fun?" But Iris starts to see the truth and tells her, "Just because it's easy and fun doesn't mean it's right. Your will is strong, Iris. If you reject the powers of the shadows, I will have them rip you apart." Shade can't take it anymore. "Hope, no! It's me you want. I did this. The shadows, they acted out because of me. They knew that the only thing holding me back from returning to my old ways was you." Hope turns to him. "It's not about you, Shade. The shadows showed me the better ways of the darkness. Seeing you like this is breaking my heart, Hope. But I guess spending an eternity with this dark version of you is my punishment." And he grabs her, using his powers against her. Wally runs in, grabbing Iris and pulling her aside, while the Flash runs over to Shade, but Shade tells him not to bother, save themselves. Flash tells Shade, "Not a chance, we're getting out of this together. Wally, now!" Both of them begin to charge up their lightning, hitting massive levels of light and electricity. And then they do it. They fist bump. Light begins to hit the entire area, blasting the Shadow Realm away. And that's it. Everyone is now standing in Central City. Wally asks Iris how she stopped the darkness from possessing her, and Iris explains that she's just stubborn. Shade turns to Hope, explaining what happened and how sorry he is, and Hope tells him to trust in himself and her. His past will always be a part of him, but today, they have each other. Flash puts his hand on Shade's shoulder. "You know, you're allowed to be happy, right, Shade? You should learn to heed your own advice, Flash." So Shade pulls out a positive shadow and uses it to teleport him and Hope back home. But as he leaves, he tells Flash, "Let your lovely wife get some rest, Flash. Give her my regards." Flash, of course, is confused. "Wife? We're not married, Shade." "My mistake." And with a crack of light, Shade is gone. Flash just shrugs it off and everyone heads home. With everything working out, Barry heads over to see Iris the next day. to ask her out on a date. Because if this timeline is going to fix itself, it's time he started talking to his potential wife, isn't it? And that concludes the next arc in The Flash. I hope you guys are enjoying this because I love the Flash TV show, the comic books. I got a Flash tattoo on my arm. I mean, literally, the Flash is one of my favorite superheroes. So of course I'm loving this. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about Kid Flash though. Because this version of Wally West, while at first was really kind of a snot-nosed brat, is kind of coming into his own. Here he's arguing with the Flash over something really stupid like a secret identity, but hey, maybe he'll fix that up eventually. I'm Benny for Comicstorian. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Comicstorian, and I'll see you next time right here.